You like film, from cult to classic, from blockbuster to B-movies. And there just isn't that one place with all the fan fervor and passion that's covering the kind of mad, diverse brilliance that you love.
Well, that's where you're wrong.
AfterMovieDiner.com is that fan-built movie nirvana just for you, featuring the sweet, sweet writings of the wife dork herself. AfterMovieDiner.com. Go there. Be the best you can be.
You are listening to the In the Mouth of Dorkness podcast. Here are Brad, Lisa, Brian, and Darren.
Welcome to another edition of the It Modcast podcast. Joining us is Brian Young, the Turtle Dork.
Happy Friday, folks.
And also joining us is Lisa Gullickson, Wife Dork.
What the fuck is that? What the fuck is that? A fucking cat?
And also joining us is Brad Gullickson, Mouth Dork.
Hello. I was surprised by Lisa doing her quote. I was going to do a quote from Creed 2, and now just doesn't seem right.
And I'm your host, Darren Smith, the Disco Dork. And welcome to another...
Keep going. Keep going.
And welcome to another edition of the It Modcast podcast, Fistful Friday.
Yay!
How was everybody's Thanksgiving?
Oh, yeah, that's right. It was really good.
Oh, was it? It was really good? Did you eat turkey? Did you go ham? Did you go tofurkey this week?
I went ham. I went full ham.
You went full ham? That's every week for you, Brian.
Yes.
Vegan marshmallows. My experiment of making vegan marshmallows failed. They immediately deflated back into chickpea liquid. It was really, it was a bloodbath or a chickpea bath. I guess not a bloodbath because it's vegan. But
In some countries, that's a delicacy.
Yeah.
It's not.
Water,
no,
stale chickpea water with sugar in it.
I was trying to see the positive in it.
No, there's no positive to vegan yams.
Well, I have some positive. I am positive that this week we are going to be doing our Fistful of Rematches in honor of the release of Creed 2.
Yes.
Which is definitely about a rematch, Darren. Don't question it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All
It's a
right.
rematch of wits.
There
Gotcha.
you go.
Gotcha.
There you go.
All right. So start off, Brian.
Yes.
How about your number 5 in your Fistful of Rematches?
Well, I'm going to keep mine within the Rocky franchise. I think this will be the only one that I use in the Rocky franchise.
I'm really surprised you're going with Rocky 5.
You know, I may be the only defender of Rocky 5 in this whole group.
Are you seriously doing Rocky 5?
No,
Are you
I'm
doing
not.
the alleyway rematch?
No. But if there's a way I can bring Rocky 5 into a fistful, I would definitely do that.
Just real quick.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we'll talk about this on our review cast.
Okay.
About our rankings of all the Rockies. But
okay.
is Rocky 5 at the top? Is it
No.
above Rocky 4?
No.
Okay. We can continue to be podcast friends.
But I've seen your ranking, and this one I do rank above Rocky 4 after I rewatched it. Because Rocky 4 is good, but it is just...
Hey, we're not here to besmirch the good name of Rocky 4. We're here to talk about our top 5 rematches. We'll get into the Rocky franchise
Yes.
on our review cast.
There we go. So my number 5
Rocky
is...
4 is better than yes, it's better
Then Rocky 3?
Yeah,
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so that's my number 5 is Rocky 3, the rematch between Rocky and Clubber Lang after he loses the belt to Clubber Lang and he gets the belt back towards the end. I mean, it's a great, the rags to riches and then fall from grace and have to kind of work himself back up. And I recently rewatched the Rocky films, I think sometime this year, and I always had in my mind Rocky 4 was just like this, not necessarily masterpiece, but had a great sense of nostalgia.
You can use the word masterpiece. I'm okay with that.
But a great sense of nostalgia. But going back and rewatching them, I did see it is just a series of montages.
A series of masterful montages.
But something about Rocky 3 that really just kind of hit me is that we really go a little bit deep into Rocky Balboa and a lot of his insecurities, a lot of his doubts that he has, as far as especially after he loses the belt, and how Apollo has to come in and kind of have to rejuvenate him. He takes him to L.A. and it's like, look, you gotta get that eye of the tiger.
All that stuff is really, really good.
Yeah, and rewatching those films, I was like, man, Rocky 3 is a solid film, and I don't know. I just thought that rematch with Clubber Lang and Mr. T is just great as a villain. So good.
There's only one bad Rocky movie, and that's Rocky 5.
Okay.
All the other ones are good.
I can't disagree, but I do like Rocky
You can't.
5.
You can't even talk about it. Only
You know
I
why?
can because this isn't a review cast.
It's so quotable. Rocky 5 is so quotable.
It is?
Which one is Rocky 5?
You knock him down. Why don't you try knocking me down?
Oh, yeah. God damn.
Wow, I'm impressed. I'm impressed you pulled that out. Okay.
The accent and everything.
Yeah, but so that's my number 5 is Rocky 3.
All right, Lisa, your number 5.
In 1990, Julia Roberts was matched with Richard Gere in Pretty Woman. Despite their differing socioeconomic backgrounds, they were able to find love, right?
But that's then, just a match.
But then they were again.
Oh.
They were rematched.
There's no Pretty Woman 2.
In The Runaway Bride.
Oh, yeah.
And Julia Roberts played the bride with cold feet.
Actually, because mine crosses over 2 films as well, so that's a good one.
I don't know.
That's a good one.
It was a love match, Brad. Not every match has to be fisticuffs. So, and I can't not talk about Runaway Bride because one of my life philosophies that I think about way more than I should comes from Runaway Bride. And that's the scene with the eggs.
Lisa, nobody remembers any scene with eggs.
Everybody remembers the scene with the eggs where she's sitting and she has all of these plates of eggs and she's just trying to figure out what kind of eggs she likes because whenever she was with a man, she would always just say that she liked the way he liked his eggs, and she would always put her opinions based on her lover. And then, as the Runaway Bride, she really had to find herself to realize that she wanted to put the tennis shoes away.
See, Lisa, that's all I'm doing when I reject your crazy healthy meals that you make.
That's true.
I was like, this tofurkey is not for me.
Wait, what?
Tofurkey, I like that.
For the record, tofu is not good for you. Whole plants.
You hear that, people? Say it again, Lisa.
Yep.
Tofu is not good for you. It raises your estrogen levels.
See?
Isn't that good for men? It gets you more in touch with...
Yeah.
Is that...
With your man breasts?
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah. Okay.
No, it's not.
Go get you some titties back.
You don't want too much soy in your diet.
Got it.
Whole plants, legumes.
That's right. That's right.
Okay.
All right.
I guess that's a really good rematch, Lisa.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right.
You better support that rematch because there are more matches like that coming.
Oh, Jesus.
All right. What about your number 5, B?
My number 5, I was going to go back to the Rocky franchise as well, but then Brian did it, and I was like, nah, I don't want to do what Brian did. So I am going to go with the rematch between Officer Alex Murphy and Clarence Bodiger in the salvage yard in Paul Verhoeven's RoboCop. The first battle was very much like the first battle in Rocky 3 between Clubber Lang and Rocky Balboa. Where Clubber Lang is just pure evil and just destroys and dominates Rocky because he wasn't prepared. Yeah. And Alex Murphy, he just got partnered with Lewis. He's new in Detroit. He doesn't know what's going on. Yeah. And he gets his entire body shot apart by Bodiger's gang. Scary and thankfully, that scene was truly disturbing as a child.
It was frightening.
I know, Darren, you were what, like 8 years old? 10?
Yeah.
How old were you?
Whenever
87.
87.
So I was 9 when the first one came out.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you saw it probably on video.
Yeah.
And
I saw it in the movie theater.
You saw it in the movie theater. I saw it on video. So I'm guessing.
No, actually, I did see it in the theater.
You did?
So, yeah, I did.
I think I was probably 11 when I saw it, but also still too young because that was truly traumatic. Yeah. But that trauma builds your enthusiasm for when he finally jabs that information spike into his Bodiger's neck and his entire inside splats on RoboCop's chest. Yeah. It feels pretty satisfying. You're like, that dude deserved that.
Yeah. He's a great villain.
When I was a kid, my idea for Rocky 2, my idea for RoboCop 2 was actually Clarence Bodiger getting put back together and being turned into like a robo-criminal.
Interesting.
That's what I would have done, which is kind of what happened in Rocky 2, but with Tom Noonan's character.
RoboCop 2?
God damn it.
Really?
Yeah,
You said
RoboCop
Rocky
2.
too.
I really wanted to talk about Rocky, but
I'm
then,
sorry.
Brian
I'm sorry.
talked about it.
Well, you know what? I will help facilitate that itch to scratch. B, because my number 5 is actually the rematch between Rocky and Apollo at the end of Rocky 3. Ding, ding.
Oh, that one.
That moment between the two. Because I just feel like, even as a kid, first seeing that scene, because of the relationship and where it had started and what it had grown to, and then it culminates like there, and then knowing, especially going back now after the fact, knowing what's going to happen to Apollo in Rocky 3. I'm sorry, Rocky 4. 5.
Now you're messing up.
Wait.
Don't you mean RoboCop?
No, not RoboCop.
What do you mean? What happens to Apollo?
Apollo
in Rocky 4.
4.
Yeah.
Right. So knowing that that's coming, like that scene just. And plus, just the way it's that freeze frame, and
it's a great freeze
and it's
frame.
just the build up. The build up to it is great. I love it.
And how that freeze frame then becomes the painting over the credits, which then hangs in Rocky's restaurant in Rocky Balboa.
Yep,
love that.
Yeah. So that's got to be my number 5. No, sorry, Brian.
We're sitting slightly out of order.
Sitting out of order.
So you're number 5.
Oh man,
4.
My number 4. I'm so trying to decide what I want to use.
You got a long list there, Brian.
What you get?
No peeking, Brad.
I'm blurring my vision. So I don't see what it is.
It's
I know.
impolite to look at another grown man's screen.
I'm just saying it's very long. It's a very long list.
You know, I'm gonna go with 8 Mile. I think that's
a good one.
I think that is one. Okay.
Wait. Oh, who?
Well, because now 8 Mile is the pseudo autobiographical tale of Eminem, Marshall Mathers.
I feel like you about to pull some shit out your ass.
I know, because I want to say that he got. I want to say that he got bodied.
Oh, I know what that term means now.
In the beginning, by Papa Doc, played by Anthony Mackie. I want to say.
Did he?
I can't remember.
I don't think he.
Well, you know what? He got beat up in the yard by Papa Doc and his crew. So I guess you could say that he did have a rematch of lyrics, not necessarily fisticuffs.
No, I think that works. That works.
You know what? I'm sticking with it. Fuck it. So at the end, Eminem, who plays Rabbit, goes up against Papa Doc and his crew at the end. And he finally gets the best of him lyrically in a freestyle battle. When in the beginning, I guess you could say it was more about just him kind of getting the courage to be able to perform on stage.
Mom Spaghetti,
yeah. Absolutely. And then, so he's been getting antagonized by Papa Doc and his crew throughout the whole film, and he finally gets this moment to be able to get on stage and do the one thing that he knows how to do, and is able to come back. And roast them in a freestyle, which I thought was really, really good. So it may not be a rematch in the traditional sense, but I do think it is a rematch in some ways because they were at odds with each other, and Papa Doc did kind of get the best of him throughout that film, and he's able to come back.
It's crazy because he really didn't roast Papa Doc. He was really roasting himself.
Yeah, but that was, that was a strategic move.
Yeah. Well, because he's saying he's taking, so as if you've seen Body and you're new to battle rap, like if you take away your opponent's fuel, the things that they're going to say about you, if you say it first, then if they say it, really, I've seen it happen in battle rap. So there'll be people that come with this particular angle, and the person will acknowledge it before their opponent, so that when their opponent does it, it takes the steam out of it.
Absolutely, and it doesn't hold as much weight if they were to do it because they've already taken that. So I don't know. I thought it was clever, and I really enjoy 8 Mile as a film.
Never seen it.
Really?
Never seen it. I've told you this before.
Because I think I had that as a home. Well, when we got rid of doing homework, and I was looking to Dang, spoiler alert, Brad.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I stopped listening to you.
I saw 8 Mile in the theater, and literally all I remember about it, besides Mom Spaghetti, is that awkward sex scene,
Yes.
outdoor Detroit sex scene
with Brittany Murphy,
where they're both standing.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
It's
Yeah,
totally,
it's
it's so gross, and they're both wearing so many clothes. Like they can't feel good. And it's outside in Detroit. You're gonna catch something.
You know, we should do a Fistful of Detroit sometimes. We just had 8 Mile and RoboCop.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It follows
True Romance.
True Romance. Out of Sight.
Out of Sight. I was like, there's a movie we just
Yeah,
watched that.
yeah.
Yeah, Out of Sight. Yeah, it's a lot of Detroit based.
Yeah, put a pin in that.
Alright,
Bing,
nice.
or a button, or whatever you do.
Wife dork.
One
Yes.
of those.
Your number 4.
My number 4, Gina Davis played opposite Jeff Goldblum in the body horror The Fly, which I've never
Yes.
seen, and I feel weird mentioning it in a fistful considering I haven't seen it. But many people have mentioned that I should not see it because it would really gross me
It's
out.
not VF.
Yeah, so I'm never gonna watch it. But I did win it once in a contest. Never mind. I'll talk about that another time because I'm still saying what the actual movie is. They are rematched
I know what it is.
in one of my all-time favorite movies that were always on Comedy Central, like 24/7, and that
Yep.
is the 1988 classic Earth Girls Are Easy.
Yeah, starring a younger Damon Wayans and Jim Carrey.
That's right. And that's where I remember watching that movie as a tween. We have so many stories of my awkward tweenhood. And I'm watching like, who is this gorgeous, bizarre alien? I think I'm falling deeply, madly in love. And then it turned out to be Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
I thought he looked like some kind of beachy alien god. So beautiful and young.
Earth Girls Are Easy came out after The Fly?
Yep.
Huh.
That is a rematch.
Huh. I saw that in the theater with my mom.
Earth Girls Are Easier with The Fly.
The Earth Girls Are Easy. Damn.
So wait, Earth Girls Easy was 88. What year was The Fly?
86.
Okay.
They were within 2 years of each other.
Huh.
Okay.
And they were a real life couple for a long time.
Oh,
Really?
Sweet.
Yeah.
Oh,
know
Gina
that.
Davis. Yeah, I think I do remember hearing that. Yeah.
Didn't go well.
Oh.
Because he turned into a fly?
Yeah.
No, be your number 4.
Art imitates life and imitates art.
My number 4, my 3 and 4, I keep going back and forth on. But now it's my turn, so I got to settle. I am going to that galaxy far, far away to Return of the Jedi when Luke Skywalker, now fully aware that Darth Vader was at one time his father, he is going to rematch him in a lightsaber duel, this time on the Emperor's turf on Death Star Part 2. And it's a film that I've been thinking about a lot lately.
Return of the Jedi?
Return of the Jedi, yeah. Well, I did that Cave of Darkness conversation about the pig guard,
Yeah.
the Gamorrean guard.
Yeah.
And, it got me thinking about how much I loved Return of the Jedi as a kid, how it was my go-to Star Wars film. But over time, Empire Strikes Back took over, and then my love sort of faded a little bit. And now it's coming on back thanks to The Last Jedi. And watching where Luke goes in Rian Johnson's film and thinking about how the events of Return of the Jedi placed Luke on that sad-ass island where he can milk crazy creatures. I gained a reappreciation for his emotional climax with his terrifying monster dad, who in the last moment decides, you know what, I guess I'll save my son and toss this ugly, wrinkly old dude down this elevator shaft.
As an adult, do you have a problem and not buy that?
I don't know if I
Because
do.
as an adult,
Yeah.
we think about character arcs and does that stay true to the character and shit. But as a kid, you're like, yes.
Well,
yeah.
as a kid, it's like a fist pumping
Yeah.
moment. You're like, well, I've always loved Darth Vader, and yay, Darth Vader's turned to the good side.
Right.
As an adult, I still go, yeah, but what about all those kids in that Jedi temple that he sliced? And all the planets and Alderaan, and he's on his deathbed practically, and he goes, "Yo, my bad. I'm sorry. I'm glad you're in heaven now, or Force Heaven, or whatever it is."
And see, and I guess that's the trouble of doing prequels to these type of characters, because now we have that history of who Anakin and Darth Vader and what he did was. So.
Well, I mean, we could go down a real long conversation here.
Yeah.
But what I like so much about the story of Darth Vader, Anakin Skywalker, including the prequels and the Clone Wars cartoon series and Rebels. When Darth Vader shows up in Rebels, I think it's my favorite Darth Vader moment, period.
Okay.
Is how, it's the story of innocence corrupted and turning a human being into a monster. And like, how does a monster get created? And that's what the prequels were supposed to do.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they weren't the best scripted movies, directed movies, blah, 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 old story. But the idea of being corrupted by fear, becoming a monster, and then being redeemed by your son is incredibly compelling.
Yes.
But also how that redemption is not a cure-all for Luke Skywalker, as we see in The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
And, now how... It's sort of like what we were talking about with Halloween, right? How this one moment in 1978 not only affects Laurie Strode's life for the next 40 years, but it affects her children. Mm-hmm. And now we have Kylo Ren suffering under choices his grandfather made, decades ago.
Interesting. Okay.
So, I don't know, like, Return of the Jedi is a movie that I think I have grown to appreciate more and more over the last couple of years.
Nice.
All right. Yeah. You're welcome, nerds.
Yeah.
It's my go. I'm looking at Brian like you said that to me. All right. For my number 4, it's gonna be. Let's see. I got some good ones. It's gonna be the rematch between Bruce Leroy and Sho'nuff in Barry Gordy's The Last Dragon, which was a homework assignment of White Dorks at one point. Oh, it was your homework
It was
assignment?
my homework assignment.
Oh, I watched it though.
But given
you gave it to me.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You just drew that amazing. You just had that thing that got put up in an art gallery.
Yeah, and by drew it amazing, it was a page of notes.
Yeah, but it was framed, so it was art.
Yeah, in a Greenwich Village art gallery, Lisa.
Yeah.
You're an artist.
Nobody can take that shit away from me.
Exactly.
There you go.
So Ty Mack is Bruce Leroy. Julius Carey is Sho'nuff. And if you haven't seen it or you don't know what The Last Dragon is, it is Barry Gordy's foray into filmmaking. It's directed by, I want to say, Michael Schultz.
Okay. I've only seen it the one time.
Yeah, who did The Car Wash?
I can
If
take
I'm
your
not
word
mistaken.
for it.
I'm looking at my laptop. I could easily IMDb it, but I'm going to
How
trust
about
in my own.
UMDB it, the listener?
Yeah, I like that. Okay. So anyway, earlier in the film, Bruce Leroy, he is a young martial artist who has not found his confidence in his own ability. And this is sort of like a coming-of-age story of him finding himself and also finding love in Vanity's Laura Charles. Oh, my God. Anyway, Sho'nuff is this really larger-than-life, flamboyant dude in Harlem with a top knot and a Jerry curl combo thing. I think he's got these wicked shoulder pads and the Shogun outfit.
How do we not own action figures?
Dude, I don't know.
McFarlane Toys, get on that.
I would pay money. Hot Toys. If you do Hot Toys of Sho'nuff,
wow.
I'd buy it. And Ty Mack, an inexperienced, this was his first role. He's not the greatest actor in the film, but his lack of experience, I think, to me, adds a charm to the naivety of the character. He is this. He's like a goofball. He plays aloof, but he's very competent when it comes to his skill. He just has to believe in himself and find the glow. Anyway, earlier in the film, he is a confrontation between Sho'nuff and Leroy in his dojo in front of his students, and Leroy being a disciple of the teachings of Bruce Lee. And I'm looking at Bruce the Master right now. Not the real one. That'll be dope. He does not want to resort to violence. He wants to fight without fighting, one of Bruce Lee's philosophy in Enter the Dragon. And so he does not fight. He takes a passive approach, and Sho'nuff takes advantage and kicks him while he's down. Later in the movie, once Leroy finds himself in the glow, they have a rematch, and the rest is history. So I love that movie. I love the movie. I love the music. It's a representation of a particular time in the 80s that I was a part of and aware of, even at such a young age. So watching it now, outside of the entertainment factor of the film and the cast and stuff like that, it fills me with nostalgia. So that's got to be on my list. My number 4, my Fistful of Rematches.
Yeah.
Brian, your number 3.
So my number 3, getting down to the nitty gritty here, is going to be Scott Pilgrim.
God
versus,
damn it!
No,
That's a good one. That's a good one. That's a good
versus
one.
the world. It's the rematch between Scott Pilgrim and Gideon Graves when he loses his life.
Oh, he gets okay.
Because he earns an extra life
Yeah.
after defeating the Katanagi twins.
Yeah.
And so he goes to try to win back the love of Ramona Flowers, and Gideon gets the best of him. And so he uses that extra life to come back, and he's able to face Gideon Graves again. And he ends up defeating him. And I love Scott Pilgrim. It amazes me that this movie is 8 years old now. It came out in 2010. So we're coming up on 10 years this movie came out. And this movie really does speak to, I think, a particular generation. A generation I think that even now, kids today can go back and look at that movie and really be able to connect to.
It's certainly a significant film for the 4 dorks in...
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been on many a Fistful.
Oh, yeah.
I absolutely love that film. And Edgar Wright and what he was able to do with just fusing in all these different aspects of like anime and video game culture and stuff like that. And Gideon Graves, played by Jason Schwartzman, who plays a great douchebag on screen. It's so good, and it's a really, really fun film. So
the other aspect of that movie that I was thinking about the other day was how it was at the 2010 Comic-Con where they first screened it.
Yes.
And like all this love came pouring out of that convention.
I remember that too.
And that was the last Comic-Con we did not go to.
Yeah,
so
that was
2011.
That was the year before. Yeah,
right.
Because I think that screening was the 2010 Comic-Con.
Yeah,
and then we started going the year after.
I can't be denied this stuff anymore.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's crazy that within all the years that we've had cinema, the history of cinema, to be able to, even now, all the stuff, we talked about this a while, Brian, and maybe you and I were talking about how often you can tell the same type of story, but like in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
To be able to present something that has had such a history of retellings and remakes and reboots and sequels, but to be able to craft something that is original within the lexicon of this storied history is really special. And the fact that it's not a movie that's championed is insane to me.
A lot of people talk about how there's no good video game movies.
Shit.
But I actually think there are a lot of great video game movies. They just don't happen to be based on any properties, right?
Yeah.
I think Scott Pilgrim vs. the World is a great video game movie.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Hardcore Henry is a great first-person shooter movie.
Yes.
And the brands will get their day in the sun at some point.
Yeah, I mean, it's gotten a cult classic kind of life now because it didn't do great in the cinemas when it came out in 2010. But I think people are rediscovering or discovering that film for the first time, and it's definitely going to be one of those films that's going to stand the test of time as more so than some of the biggest movies that came out probably that year that I probably couldn't even tell you what came out. Yeah.
All right, B. Great pick. Wife Dork, you're number 3?
This particular couple has been matched, rematched, and rematched,
Oh.
and that is Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone. They were matched in Crazy Stupid Love. They were rematched in Gangster Squad.
Yikes.
Damn, I keep forgetting they were in that movie together.
I forget about that movie entirely.
Me
Sean
too.
Penn's really good in that film.
Yeah.
He's in that movie?
Yeah, he's the best thing about
the
it.
villain.
Yeah.
And then they were rematched in La La Land.
Yay.
Brian's happy.
Brian,
Yeah.
no matter what movie they're in, they always have chemistry.
They do.
Like they are two very sexy people, and then they make each other sexier by association. I feel like.
Yeah.
They are super sexy in Gangster Squad as well.
They are.
Yeah, they're really, really good together in that film. The film around it, it's not hot.
Didn't something happen with that movie like right before it was supposed to come out?
Yeah,
Did they
there-
change it and reshot
Because of the
it?
shooting that happened in the movie theater.
Yeah, the movie theater shooting that
The
occurred.
Dark Knight one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Gangster Squad had a mob hit
In
inside
the theater
of the
because
movie
in the
theater.
trailer they were shooting
Yeah.
through the screen.
Yeah.
That shot was badass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
I remember
Sorry.
that.
All right. Great pick. Damn. I forgot
Thank you.
about that movie.
Yeah.
Ryan Gosling, Emma Stone. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm thinking of Jonah Hill. Anyway, sorry.
Oh yeah.
He drives you to distraction. I know.
He does. Have you seen the Jonah Hill commercial with the VR? The advertising for VR. You haven't seen the movie theater yet? So good. It's a mid-90s reference. Anyway, Brad, your number 3?
My number 3 is it begins. The first match is in one of my top 10 favorite films of all time, from 1979. It's Ripley survives by the skin of her panties in Ridley Scott's Alien.
Yeah.
She goes into hibernation for many years, rewoken by Paul Reiser's Burke and James Cameron's Aliens. And, you know, she discovers that her life is gone decades back, and she's left pretty much with nothing, but has no desire to return to LV 426. But when she is confronted with the idea that the colonists who landed on this moon, this rock, this planet, after her voyage, have gone missing, for lack of a better term, and that the government is sending in the Space Marines to investigate. Ripley is compelled to return to the scene of the crime and face her demons, and in doing so encounters not only the alien queen, but her daughter that she had and lost in Newt. Get away from her, you bitch. It's one of the all-time most quotable lines, not from Rocky V.
Okay.
We're talking about like most quotable lines from cinema.
Okay.
It's like, this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship, and get away from her, you bitch. They go right next to each other. This ain't Kansas no more, Toto. Is that how it goes? Anyway, Aliens. What more is there to say about this film? The beautiful thing about it, it's always referenced as the sequel that changes genres on you and becomes its own masterful experience. And, I'm always quoting this jump in genre when I wish other films, other sequels would attempt something similar. Alien and Aliens, it's a hell of a two-fister.
Yeah.
All right.
If your panties have a skin, it's time to change them panties. You shouldn't be doing anything by the skin of your panties. I bet your Ripley was super fresh.
You
She's like a lady who's on
combine the
top
skin
of
of your
shit.
teeth and the seat of your pants.
I did, and I did it on purpose because it's funny. And then Lisa comes in and goes, "Shut up, Brad, you sexist asshole."
I just thought I'd panty-splain to you what wearing panties is.
Lisa, you don't have to panty-splain panties. I know what it's like.
All right, my number 3 is gonna be it's gonna be the rematch between Superman and Batman in the Justice League. So I do not love the Justice League. I will be honest with myself and the listeners, but I do love Batman v Superman. And in that film, Zack Snyder establishes a confrontation between the Man of Steel and also the Dark Knight. And in that film also, they come to blows. That confrontation does happen. And it is ended with a very controversial decision on the filmmaker's part, one that I happen to love tremendously. Well, anyway, we
all love Martha.
Yes, we do love
Hitman is
Martha.
pro
Martha.
Martha.
Yes.
Go listen to our famous review cast.
Yeah.
In which we all just go madly in love over Batman v Superman.
I would give Martha the skin off my panties.
F you, Lisa.
So they have a rematch of sorts in that in Justice League, well, at the end of Batman v Superman, spoilers, Superman makes the ultimate sacrifice in order to defeat Doomsday, and he perishes. Well, he's brought back to life in Justice League, but in his new reawakened state, he is not happy, and he sees Batman. He remembers the discord between the two, and he immediately begins to pummel the rest of the Justice League, but also he grabs Batman and tosses him, breaking something, leaving him internally bleeding, possibly. But I really enjoyed that scene. You know, while I don't think Justice League is a great movie or a good movie as a whole, that particular scene, even though it feels like it was a product of the reshoots, I do love what's happening character-wise in that scene. And so, you know, my argument pre-Batman v Superman was always that Superman could be Batman. And when in Batman v Superman, Batman does get the upper hand, as he does also in the source material, and as he's fought Superman before in the comics. But I just feel like Superman should win. Well, having that moment between them two in the Justice League did satisfy, you know, that part of me.
And as we've talked about on this podcast in the past, you got the scoop from Grant Morrison.
Oh my god!
In person that Superman would win in that battle.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's all I need. So yeah, that's my number 3, my fistful of rematches. All right, Brian, you're number 2.
So my number 2 goes back to a film that I loved. Came out in 2000. This Ang Lee's Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Oh yeah.
This is the rematch between Zhang Ziyi and Michelle Yeoh. Of course, we know in the beginning of the film when she steals the sword. I can't think of the name of the sword. Like the Green Destiny.
Green Destiny.
Yeah.
Green Destiny. She goes to steal the sword, and Michelle Yeoh tries to stop her, and they have that great fight at night in the courtyard with that amazing score by Yo-Yo Ma. And that fight, I think, goes down as probably one of cinema's best one-on-one battles. And then we get a rematch of that towards the end of the film when they're in that dojo area. And they're kind of picking up weapons after. Michelle Yeoh is picking up a weapon after weapon, and Zhang Ziyi's character is fighting her with the Green Destiny sword. And I don't know, it's just beautiful storytelling that's told throughout that film, even through the fight scenes. And of course, this long lost love story between Chow Yun-fat and Michelle Yeoh's character, and how that mirrors Zhang Ziyi and the love that she had when you see kind of like those flashbacks going back and forth. Just a beautiful film, and those actresses I absolutely love. I mean, Michelle Yeoh, I've been a fan for years, and Zhang Ziyi, who just came onto the scene, I think that may have been her first film, and she was like 19 when she did that film, and so it's almost like the old school kind of shepherding in the new school of the Asian action cinema. So it was just an amazing.
That movie's so good.
I'm thinking about it. I haven't seen it in a while, but I'm just thinking.
Same.
I'm going through the whole film in my head. I think that movie deserves a rewatch because I absolutely love Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Is that 2000? You said
2000. Yeah, it came out in 2000.
I remember seeing that in Pentagon City Mall. They had a theater in there, and I saw it there. That was the only place that was showing in this area.
I saw it at Shirlington.
Oh shit!
Yeah, they had. Yeah.
Very good.
18 years ago.
That's crazy.
That's wild. Yeah, that's wild.
Did you happen to see the sequel on Netflix?
I started it.
Yeah, I have it in my queue. I still want to check it out.
Yeah.
Donnie Yen's in it.
Donnie Yen's in it.
Yeah. I might check it out. I mean, I'm not expecting it to be on the same level.
It's not.
All right. Let's see. Wife Dork, your number 2.
Tom Cruise and Cameron Diaz were rockily matched at the beginning of Vanilla Sky.
Oh, yeah, okay. Get Brad, he's so happy.
She caused the car accident that destroyed his face.
Yeah.
And then they were rematched in Brad's all-time favorite film, Night and Day.
Is that in your top 10?
It's not in my top 10. It's actually not even in my top 100 right now.
Really?
Yeah.
What bumped it? What's your number 100?
I'm still working. Well, I don't. Well, it could be in my top 100.
Was it ever?
Let's get real.
No, I'm only okay. All right. In full disclosure, my top 100 is right now only 69 movies.
Night and Day isn't even.
No, it's not in the 69 yet.
Well,
Shit.
you champion that movie whenever you can.
I know. I do because I truly love it. Like, but is it like one of the 100 best films of all time, like Critters? No.
Wait, Critters is on there, but
Yeah, Critters is 68, and Citizen Kane is 69.
Interesting. Okay.
you married that guy.
I did. I had all of the options in the world. I'm a very attractive woman, and I picked this. I'm really proud. Solid choice.
I choose you.
But even if Night and Day isn't one of Brad's top 100,
Yeah.
and not even top 69,
Yeah.
like it's still a really stupid fun movie.
Yeah.
And with the pairing of Tom Cruise and Cameron Diaz, it's astounding they can fit that much charisma on one screen.
Well, like what's so great about Night and Day is how psychotic they are in their enthusiasm. Like they're insane in the level of joy that they bring to those roles, and like it's alien. It's alien level enthusiasm.
It's bonkers.
Yeah, it's bonkers. It's bananas.
Nobody's being cool.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting about just Tom Cruise in general? A lot of people always say how he
Runs?
runs, but
How
sometimes
his teeth are not like
not
his
as-
front tooth is in the
yeah.
middle.
Stop.
But it's interesting how they say like sometimes he has a lack of chemistry with sometimes his female
But
leads.
not in that movie.
But
Not
do
in
you think
Night
they're
and
kind
Day.
of maybe playing that up,
Oh,
like playing up the idea?
I don't
that he
know if
doesn't
they're
have-
consciously playing up that idea, but I think Night and Day is the perfect Tom Cruise coupling.
Okay.
I think Cameron Diaz is. Well, I mean, I also think that he did have chemistry with Nicole Kidman in
Eyes Wide Shut.
Well, Eyes Wide Shut and Far and Away as well.
Okay.
Rematch.
Oh, is that a rematch?
And Days of
Days of
Thunder.
Thunder.
Days of Thunder.
Rematch.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Days of Thunder or the
Right, what the fuck?
I'm sorry. I'm failing my
I
wife.
have seen Eyes Wide Shut.
But Brian's
It's
seen
homework.
it, and
I
Brian
know.
does agree that it is better than Top Gun.
You finally seen it?
Did I agree?
You did. You did agree that because you agreed to watch it. Therefore, you saw it, and you know it's better than Top Gun.
Okay.
So you
Yeah.
recently saw it.
Yeah.
You liked it?
Days of Thunder?
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
I lent him Days of Thunder and Cellular, and he finally watched them both, and he gave it back to me, and I was like, "What'd you think?" And he's like,
Yeah. I rated them on Letterboxd. I gave them both 2.5.
"Yeah,
Damn!
yeah."
Yeah, I mean, this.
Well, Cellular's like a 3-star movie. 2.5. I'm a little sad that you didn't enjoy it as much as I did, but that's okay. But like Days of Thunder, that's like 3.5.
2.5
man.
stars.
I'm trying to remember what I didn't really like.
Tony
about,
Scott?
We need to do like we got to bring back the Itmod commentary tracks,
Yeah.
and our first Itmod commentary track should be Days of
Thunder.
Thunder.
I wrote a review on Letterboxd. That's how I can remember. We go on, but I'm gonna see. It was something about that movie that just I was just like,
All right.
Yeah, but better than Top Gun. I agree.
All right.
Oh,
Well,
I need to rewatch Top Gun, but I love Top Gun.
great pick,
Thank
Lisa.
you.
Great pick. Vanilla Sky.
Yeah.
And Night and Day. Brad, your number 2?
My number 2. You knew I was going to have to go to the Marvel Universe at some point.
Oh, shit.
This list of rematches that I've picked are very obvious choices if you know me. And I apologize to the listeners if I've brought these films up many, many times before. But I like when I hear rematch, this was the first one that popped into my head. And that's the rematch between Captain America and the Winter Soldier in Captain America Civil War. You know, when the Winter Soldier ended, you know, it's a very brutal fight, but Bucky is very much still trapped in the Hydra mindset. You know, he's still possessed by what they did to him over the last 50 years, 60 years. And by the end of the Winter Soldier, he has his head knocked on a few times, and some of that memory of his relationship with Steve Rogers creeps on in. The end of the credits, he goes and visits the Smithsonian exhibit centered around the Super Soldier program and Captain Steve Rogers. And when Cap and Bucky finally confront each other in Civil War, you can see that the memories have maybe not 100% seeped back into Bucky's brain, but he's not the robot that he was in the previous film. And he's still on the run. Cap's got to bring him in, but if Cap doesn't bring him in, you know, he's going to get killed because everyone thinks that he's the guy who blew up the Wakandan embassy and or the UN actually. And I love Cap trying to coax Bucky back, and Bucky saying like, "Well, I'm not going with you." Yeah. And then they have to fight, and then the SWAT team shows up, and they have to. Cap has to save the SWAT team and fight the SWAT team at the same time, and then of course in swoops T'Challa at the end to put that fight to rest. Mm-hmm. But I love that whole sequence, how it's built up in the previous film, the first third of Civil War, and we get to that apartment complex, and we still have 2 hours of movie after that. And then now where we are with Bucky, well, he's dust in the wind, but in Infinity War, when you finally see him in Wakanda, come on up, reunite with Cap. My favorite scene in Infinity War that's Bucky related is actually when he is with, I think, War Machine, and Thanos' Black Order ships are crashing and exploding on the dome, the force field. He's just like, man, I love this place.
You know the only rematch I'm caring about in the MCU, right? I'm gonna cry when this happens.
The Iron Man, Captain America?
Thanos and Hulk, man.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna cry when that happens.
I'm curious to see how this whole Thanos thing happens.
Yeah.
I could have picked that as a rematch, the inevitable rematch against Thanos.
I almost did.
Yeah, I have a feeling they're going to pull the rug underneath us and maybe not deliver on a
I'm gonna cry.
Rematch.
Yeah, I'll cry too.
Yeah. Just like how Civil War concludes the storyline of Cap versus Winter Soldier, but it does it in a way that you were not expecting, and then refocuses the story on the Civil War aspect of the story. I think Avengers 4 could still resolve what Thanos did and still not be a confrontation with the Mad Titan.
Yeah. I can see that.
But we'll know in 6 months.
6 months, yeah.
Shit! It's right around the corner.
Going to my Days of Thunder, so this is what I said.
You motherfucker.
The film falls solely on the charm of Tom Cruise, who isn't necessarily the most likable character. I'm just trying to
Cole Trickle is a total prick in the movie.
Yeah. Tom Cruise's character is a bit of an asshole, and it's just kind of hard to get on board with his character. And I'm like, he's charming, but I'm like, this is the guy I'm supposed to be following. It's just so dickish.
He's
in that movie.
way more relatable than frickin' Maverick. That guy's a total prick.
I need to rewatch Top Gun.
Top Gun is not a good movie. Let's just put that out there right now.
You might just like the score.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You just like going to that danger zone.
I just like the way Tony Scott shot that. Both of those movies.
I think what Tony Scott did in Top Gun, he improves on with cars in Days of Thunder. Yeah. The action cinematography of Days of Thunder outbeats anything that they did with those planes. Yeah. There's so many restrictions on shooting those planes.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. My number 2. So, in Superman 2,
you get Doublemint Superman on this list?
Oh, yeah. Superman, as played by Christopher Reeve, he chooses life as a mortal with Lois. And so he goes to the Fortress of Solitude. He goes inside of the depowering chamber, and he comes out a human being like us. And this is like... This is almost...
Brad is giving a thumbs down for the...
It always makes me so bad. What are you doing, Superman?
Me too. This is almost like City of Angels. And I'll get to that in a moment. So anyway, he makes his choice. You know what? I'm going to sacrifice this thing that makes me super for her. And he does. He gets out as a normal person. They go lay down in the Superman bed and do some things. And then...
How disappointed do you think she was?
I don't know.
She was expecting a Man of Steel.
Oh, wow. And so after that, after they consummate their relationship, they head back to Metropolis and they stop off at a diner. And there's a guy in a diner, a truck driver.
This is a great thing.
And he's an asshole. He's an asshole to Clark. And he ends up beating up Clark Kent. And as a kid, this destroyed me. Firstly, like you said, Brad, his choice to go in that booth and lose his powers in order to be with Lois.
I would fast forward through this entire sequence.
I always hated it because I was like, dude, you're not going to be able to fly anymore. I know she's cool, you love her or whatever, but you could fly.
You can still love her and be
fly.
Superman.
Yeah, man, yeah. And so I was like, all right, so that happens. And then as a kid, I'm upset. And then as Clark Kent, when he gets punished, it isn't even just that, oh, it's Clark Kent getting beaten up. That's every innocent, decent person who is in an unfortunate situation and things go really bad for him. Right?
Yeah.
And I feel bad. And, knowing who Clark is, knowing he's a good person, at heart, with or without his powers, and this is what happens to a good person, like that whole idea, for me, even as a young person, that scene crystallized the fact that you can be the best person in the world, but that doesn't change how other people are going to behave. You can only be responsible for yourself and your own actions. And no matter how good you are, there's going to be some people out in the world there to try to put you down. Mm-hmm. So after that scene happens, and this is Clark's first time feeling pain in this way, like physical pain in the way that we feel physical pain. And he hauls ass straight back to the Fortress of Solitude. He walks back to the Fortress of Solitude after that ass whooping, right? And he wants his powers back. So at the end of the movie, once Superman gets his powers back, spoiler, and he defeats General Zod and Nam, and I can't remember. Ursa, yes, I was going to call it Freyora. But anyway, after he defeats them, he has his powers back. He goes to see the president, tells the president, I'm sorry, won't let this happen again. And he goes back to the diner. But he looks like Clark Kent. And as a kid, when the movie cuts to this, I got super excited. Like, oh, I know what this is. I know it's about to happen. And it's so, I don't know, it was like the biggest emotional hype for me in that movie is the moment Superman goes back.
But Superman should be above these things.
I understand that, but this dude deserved this shit, right? And so as a kid, I understand Superman should be above these things, but I felt like, dude, you go back and whoop that guy's ass, right? And that's what happened.
You're thinking like an Earth man.
I am. I'm not worthy of Superman. That's why I'm not. That's why I'm not worthy of his powers, man. Because I straight go abuse that shit. So anyway, that's my number 2. The rematch between Clark and that asshole truck driver, in which Clark takes the guy, he spins him around on the bar stool and slides him down the bar. Well, first he picks him up with one hand, sits him on the tray of mashed potatoes, and says, "This order's to go." Takes his glasses up and pushes him. Man, I fucking love that moment. I fucking love that moment. I don't care how irresponsible it is of Clark, and he should be above that. But guess what? Little Darren loved that shit. Yeah. So thumbs up, Clark.
Yeah, that's a great pick, Darren. Even though it's based on a fundamental misunderstanding of Superman as a character.
It is. But as a kid back then, I was like, dude, go get him.
Yeah.
So that's my number 2. All right, B, you're number 1.
So my number 1 goes to a franchise that I used to love. This is Fast and the Furious.
Wait, so it's not a rematch between the Turtles and Shredder?
Nah, I was thinking, I want to get, people know I am the turtle dork, but I want to.
You don't need to bring up Turtles every episode.
Yeah, I mean, people know I love them. And,
you used to love, you still like the Fast and the Furious movies. You just didn't like 8 and maybe not 7.
Well, yeah, I mean, 7 I give a pass because of the circumstances. Yeah. But 8 is just garbage to me.
I agree. But don't hate on the whole franchise, Brian.
No, man. It's just that last movie it really has just soured.
Would you say it's more fair to say your enthusiasm for the franchise?
Yeah, my enthusiasm is.
Do you own The Fate and the Furious on Blu-ray?
I do. I'm a completist, man. I got the 5th Transformers.
Whoa.
But I bought it when it was $8. So.
Okay.
That's the only reason I got it. But it's the rematch. It's the continuing rematch between Dom Toretto and Brian O'Connor as far as like the race between the two of them. He got the best of him in the first movie. You could say specifically Fast Five.
He lets him win, right? Because he's
they when they steal the police cars, and then like Tyrese says, you know, your man pulled up and he lets you win, and then like you have like the end credit sequence. I think at the end of 5 or the end of 6, where it's supposed to be the two of them driving. So it's just kind of like this ongoing thing where, you know, Brian O'Connor just wants to beat Dom Toretto. So it's the muscle car versus the imports. And I just think it's a nice rematch between the two of them. Unfortunately, we've lost Paul Walker, so we can never have that rematch again. But that will always be close to me is the rematch between O'Connor and Toretto.
Coming out at the end of this month is the Paul Walker documentary, I Am Paul Walker.
Yeah.
That thing hasn't been released yet?
Nope. I think it's November 30th, I want to say.
Okay. Oh, actually, it's this upcoming week.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Wife Dork,
Yes.
Your number one. I'm trying to...
Are you racking your brain?
Because you've been going all over the place. I don't know. What is your number one?
My number one spot is, of course, saved for America's most wholesome couple, Meg Ryan and Tom Hanks.
Of course.
They were matched in
Of course.
Sleepless in Seattle in 1993 and rematched in the superior film, in my opinion, You Got Mail.
You think that you like that one better than Sleepless in
1998.
Seattle?
I do.
Oh,
Okay.
definitely.
I
Yeah.
do.
Alright.
What I love is that both of these movies are center around defunct technology.
Yeah.
Sleepless in Seattle starts with terrestrial radio. A kid's doing a dedication of a song on terrestrial radio. And then You Got Mail is based upon email, but you know, that's going to be text. Email is strictly business.
And even then, it was You've Got Mail.
Yeah.
Got
AOL,
Mail.
that was AOL, right?
Yeah.
Are they still around?
No. I remember when
I think they're around.
Yeah.
when my instant messenger was not a
Relevant.
thing anymore.
Oh, yeah. Instant Messenger.
Yeah. That's how I did
Instant
all of
Messenger.
my dating. I would meet them. We'd exchange
Instant
messenger
Yeah, that's
handles,
right.
and then I could woo them via writing. Then because awkward in person, fucking poet when I'm sitting by myself in my computer.
Yeah, I remember Yahoo Messenger.
Yahoo Messenger,
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, man.
Did anybody do ICQ? My
something-
sister was super into ICQ, and I did a little bit of ICQ. I was kind of
People
young when that was out, but ICQ was a bitch because
I couldn't
it would show
understand
what you were writing
As you were writing it?
as you were writing it. So there was no
You couldn't
spell
do
check
that.
or
Yeah,
anything.
yeah.
Just it was all hanging out.
Was there another one like called ICR?
I don't know.
I think it was one called ICR2 Internet Chat Relay. It was basically that too.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't get into those. I just stayed with Yahoo.
Yeah.
Damn.
It's nice that you had people to talk to, guys.
All right. Well, that's a great pick.
Yeah.
All right. Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan.
They're a sweet couple. They're like, like Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone are like hot. Like you're like, I can't wait to see these couples like make out and it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
And then Meg Ryan and Tom Hanks is like drinking a mug of hot cider. It's
You're
just
just like-
you just feel warm. You're just like, oh man, I hope these people are gonna grow old together.
You just want to watch them hold hands.
Yeah, you're
Don't
like,
go
that-
any farther.
That is so sweet. I wonder if this is how my parents got together.
No. All right. Brad, you're number one.
My number one is a revenge film. It's a revenge film that is best served cold. You know that old Klingon proverb. Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. It is...
Brian thought you were talking about Kill Bill. I guarantee you.
Well, as Tarantino quotes, the Bard as well in Wrath of Khan. What I love so much about Star Trek II is how it is a revenge film. It's a justifiable revenge film, especially when you really break down what Kirk did to Khan and his family.
Yeah.
Back in the original series, Khan and his super enhanced eugenics humans are rescued from the sleeping stasis. They wake up from the year 1999 into the 23rd century and discover that the society has advanced, but in a lot of ways they've regressed, at least from a morality standpoint, at least from Khan's standpoint. And Khan tries to take over the Enterprise, and Kirk being Kirk and not caring at all about prime directives and what the Federation might do, and trials, judges, and all that kind of stuff, just dumps Khan and his crew, abandons them on a lush planet at the time, but never checks back in on them.
Nobody is going to.
Don't worry about it. Oh, what? A star blew up, turning that planet into a desert wasteland. He never tried to call and see if everybody was okay. And because of that action, Khan's wife is killed, who was a former crew member of the Enterprise, mind you. And Khan's pretty pissed. He wants his vengeance on this asshole who forgot about him. And comes very, very close to getting his man. And but doesn't. Enterprise, Reliant, wins out. That stupid Nebula, man. Don't follow Kirk into the Nebula. Don't do it, you cocky jerk. And because Khan was cocky, he got killed.
Yeah.
All right, great pick. My number one, I'm gonna take a page from Lisa's book and do a rematch. 3 fights, 3 different movies, same 2 people, and that would be Bruce Lee and one Bob Wall. We have the first confrontation in Chinese Connection, and then you have the second confrontation in Return of the Dragon, and the third one in Enter the Dragon. Well, Bruce Lee has to be my number one. He has to be on my number one pick because it's Bruce Lee. But Bob Wall is, I think, one of the only people that he would have a re-rematch with in more than one film, because he didn't fight Chuck Norris more than once. He only killed him once. You know what? Jackie Chan. He fought Jackie Chan. Well, he didn't fight him.
Punched Jackie
He kicked
Chan.
Jackie Chan in Chinese Connection, and also he snapped his neck in Enter the Dragon.
That's a great neck snap.
Yes, it is. But I'm going to go with, that is also referenced by Nicolas Cage in Mandy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And but I'm going to go with Bob Wall and Bruce Lee. Bob Wall was a student of Bruce Lee's, but then actually he would end up being like a bodyguard for Bruce Lee, which is funny when you think about that. But he would show up in 3 of his films, and those 3 encounters are memorable. In the first one, when they have that fight in the courtyard at night in Chinese Connection, Bob Wall has on the suspenders and the bow tie. And that's when
bow tie.
That's when you get that shot that's used in The Last Dragon. When Bruce Leroy is watching that video and you see Bruce Lee move his hands and you have the trailing effect. So there's that confrontation. He kills Bob Wall. He does a chop in the throat, and then in Return of the Dragon, he has a confrontation outside before they go to the Coliseum, and then in Enter the Dragon, Bob Wall plays a character who was an enforcer for Mr. Han, who was Mr. Han's bodyguard, who not earlier in the film, but in the past, as shown in the flashback, was responsible for the death of Bruce Lee's sister in the film. And so Bruce Lee is obviously seeking revenge. There's a tournament on Han's Island, and that guy is matched up with Bruce Lee, and it's an amazing sequence. Part of that sequence is also in The Last Dragon when they're in the movie theater. They're watching that fight between Bruce Lee and Bob Wall. There's some slow motion used. Robert Klaus directed Enter the Dragon, and there are moments in the film, I want to say there's 3 moments where he uses slow motion to show Bruce Lee's physicality, but then more importantly to show his expressiveness and his emotion for a particular action that he's done. And this one would be when Bruce Lee does his death strike. He jumps up and he lands on Bob Wall. And it's a moment that when I was a kid, I thought it was weird because of the facial expression that Bruce Lee makes is really weird. And I always thought that was odd. But as I got older and understood that, well, there's character work going on in his action scene. Like that character, Bruce Lee's character, is thinking about the loss of his sister. And this is something that he's been holding for a long time. And earlier in the movie, shown that he knows that this is what he's going to do. He's going to get revenge for the death of his sister, while also looking into these these wrongdoings of Han or whatever. So I don't know, like that. I like the fact that Bob Wall was a recurring cast member when it came to Bruce Lee's films. I like their rapport. I've listened to interviews with Bob Wall, and he's a really nice guy. Obviously, he talks highly of Bruce Lee, but yeah, that's got to be my number one. If it were anyone else, it might not have been, but it's Bruce Lee, so that's it. Thank you all for listening. Hit us up on social media at ItModcast and let us know what your fistful of rematches are. There are a bunch of them. While we were going, and your picks, Lisa, yours, Brad, yours too, Brian, were making me think of a fuck ton. Like, did I use Jaws already? Did we say Jaws?
We did not, but I also thought about.
You thought about Jaws?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't use the one that I talked about, Jackie Chan and Benny the Jet.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I decided not to use that. I like the other ones I had.
Okay.
What about Jennifer Lawrence and Bradley Cooper? They were rematched,
Silver Lining.
rematched, and rematched.
Really?
I lost track of my reads. Silver Linings Playbook.
Yeah.
American Hustle.
Oh shit.
Serena.
Damn.
And Joy.
Yeah.
They were in 4 films together.
Yeah, 2 of those are good.
And
Damn.
I was debating if Karate Kid, because remember I didn't know if that was a rematch at the end.
Well, I mean, like, is that? I mean,
Because he got jumped.
he got his
jumped.
ass beat.
Yeah.
Why? Well, because he fought all of them, though. So I guess there was rematches.
I mean,
Because he fought the guy that said, put him in the
I
body
wouldn't
bag. Fought him.
argue. I wouldn't argue you, but I think your list is better.
Okay. Yeah. Those only ones I had Karate Kid and Benny the Jet.
Okay. You can follow that guy at the Turtle Dork on Twitter, at the Turtle Dork 1 on Instagram, and at Brian William Young on Facebook. That young lady is at Sidewalk Siren and at Bake Dork on Twitter and Instagram. She's making food again.
I am.
Yes. And Brad Gullickson is at Mouth Dork on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Letterboxd, and Untapped. And I'm Darren Smith, the Disco Dork, on all social medias. That's going to do it for us. Thank you all for listening. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Go out. See Creed 2. Go see Widows if you haven't seen it. Go see Ralph Breaks the Internet. Go see
Robin Hood.
Go see Robin Hood.
Buy your
Someone
tickets
might like it.
for our still awesome screening
Oh, crap.
of Long Kiss Goodnight.
The Long Kiss Goodnight.
It's just like seeing those little white dots of people having bought tickets just fills our hearts with joy.
Yeah. So those are on sale now.
December 9th,
December 9th.
right around the corner.
So not this weekend, but next weekend.
Yes.
We'll be
Jeez
back
Louise.
at the Alamo.
I know. 2
So
weeks.
come join us. Come hang out. Tickets are on sale. They're available. It's a really cool movie if you haven't seen it. If you've seen it, you already know. So come out and rewatch it again on the big screen. That's going to do it for us. Thank you all for listening. Enjoy the rest of your week. Eat the rest of your turkey. And until next time. Or if you're vegan, don't eat it.